Hello everyone, welcome to Gora Studies. In this video, I am going to discuss about abstract factory design pattern. So what is abstract factory design pattern? Let's understand through some diagram. Before discussing the abstract factory design pattern, let me refine the concept of factory design pattern. Okay, so in factory design pattern, what we learn here that suppose we have these concrete classes, the rectangle, square, box and block. Okay, and all these classes are implementing this interface, the shape interface. Okay, so the client needs the object of these classes. Okay, so in factory design pattern, client is not creating, okay, or we are not writing the object creation code there in the client. Okay, in the client code we are not writing the object creation code. So how the object are getting created and how client is basically getting the object. So all the object creation logic we are writing here inside this factory class. Here we have one factory method. Inside that factory method we are writing all the logic and whatever we need to write, any complex logic or anything, whatever we need to write, we are writing there inside this factory method, and this factory method is returning the object to this client. Okay, so based on the parameter, suppose the client needs a box object. So based on this parameter, the factory class is creating the object of this box class and returning to this client. Okay, and the type of the object here should be shape. Okay, because all four concrete classes are implementing this shape interface. Okay, and we know that the parent reference can hold the you know parent reference can hold the object of child classes. So here, as you know, all four concrete classes are implementing the shape interface. So shape interface is the parent of all these four concrete classes. Okay, so this is the concept of factory design pattern. Okay, now coming to this abstract factory design pattern. So here in the abstract factory design pattern also we are creating the object of the same concrete classes. Okay, so here you can see we are going to create the object of rectangle, square, box and block, and here also all these four concrete classes are implementing the shape interface. Okay, so the parent of these concrete classes is shape interface. Okay, okay, but here also you can see the client basically needs the object of these classes, the rectangle, square, box and block, but client is not directly creating this object, means we are not writing the object creation code here in the client code. Okay, so how we are creating? Okay, so here you can see rectangle. Here we have suppose two type of object. One is the 2D object, the rectangle and square are 2D object, and box and block are 3D object. Okay, so the client needs, okay, the client needs that the 3D box. Okay, the client requirement is that 3D box. Okay, this is the client requirement, 3D box. Then how we will generate the object, we will create the object of these box classes. First one, here you can see client needs to communicate with some class. Okay, with one class here. Okay, so client basically communicate with this class, and we can say this is one of the factory class. So this is one of the factory class, that is the factory one. This is the one of the factory class. Okay, so once the request comes here, okay, in this factory class, like the request is 3D box, then this class will decide this class will decide, okay, how the 3D box object will be created. So you have this, just understand, we have one factory or manufacturer. This is the main factory. Okay, this factory basically, manufacture shapes, but under shapes we have two types of shapes. One is 2D shapes, another is 3D shapes. So to create the 3D shapes, we have another factory, and to create the 3D shape, we have another different factory. So how many factory we have? We have this parent factory, this is the main factory, and under this we have these two, you can say, sub factory or child factory. Okay, one manufacturing, the 2D object, and another manufacturing 3D object. Okay, so first client will interact with the, parent factory, the main factory, and main factory will decide, okay, based on the request, okay, which factory will create the object. So suppose here the request is 3D box, then once the request comes here, this factory class will decide, okay, this is 3D box, okay, 3D, then the go request should go to here in the 3D factory. It means this factory class is creating or providing the object of the factory class, 3D factory class. Okay, 3D factory class. And once the request comes here, 3D factory will see, okay, what type of object they need. It is box. Then the 3D factory will create the object of, you know, the box class, and it will return to this. Then this 3 factory return the object here, and this factory will return the object here to this client. Okay, okay, so now see here. So first of all, here you can see that client is interacting with this main factory. So this is the factory 1, and the object basically is the box object is basically getting created here in this factory. This is factory 2. So you can see here, to create the object of this concrete class, we are using two factory because our requirement is different, the 3D box. So we need to call the 3D manufacturer who will basically create the object. So we are using one factory, and this is two factory. So here we can say that, okay, abstract factory design pattern is a factory of factory. Okay, that you understood, right? Why it is called factory of factory, because we are using two factory classes. Okay, as and here you can see we are creating the object. Okay, those objects are basically belonging to a same family. Okay, this is under this, the parent is shape. Okay, so here we are creating the object of, okay, objects, those class are basically belonging to a same family. Okay, now see here another the important things. So now you understood, okay, how the object are getting created here in the abstract factory classes. Okay, now see one thing. Here we are using one interface. So these concrete classes are implementing this interface. Again, here in this factory class, if you see, both the factory class are creating the object of this shape interface. Okay, so both the classes are creating the same type of object. So they have one common method, get shape, and this method is returning the object of shape. So as they need to use the same method, and that method will return the same type of object, then we need to use one generalized class or an interface. So here we can use one interface or an abstract class. So as I already using here one interface, so I'm using here the abstract class. Okay, you can use the interface here also For better understanding, I am using both type of abstraction here. Here I used interface, here I am using abstract class. Okay, so just this is the abstract class, and this abstract class has this method. This method will return, this method will return the object of this type shape. Okay, and these two factory classes are extending this abstract class and implementing this method. Okay, and finally this method, okay, will create the object, and that object, okay, and return the object to this factory provider class. This factory class, we can say it's a factory provider class, because this factory class is basically taking the decision, okay, which factory will create the end object, the actually required object. Okay, so that's why it's called the factory provider. Okay, so now here we can now here you can see the first abstraction we are doing here and second abstraction we are doing here. So two level of abstraction we are doing here in this abstract factory design pattern. Okay, so we can say that, okay, as we are using two level of abstraction, so it is, this design pattern is much secure for, okay, so any application. Okay, so now understood the flow of the factory abstract factory design pattern, how the objects are getting created here in this abstract design pattern, what is the benefit of this abstract factory design pattern. Okay, so you understood these 2 points. Okay, the creating objects, those belong to a family of similar object that I already discussed, and why it is called factory or factory pattern. Okay, now do some coding so that you can understand properly. Okay, okay, this is my IntelliJ. So let me create here one new interface. I'm giving the name of this interface is shape. Okay, and this is the interface, and here I am taking one abstract method. This is the abstract method, right? Now I'm going to create the, you know, that concrete classes, that all are the rectangle, then square, then block and box. So I am creating the first one, giving rectangle. This is one class. It implements it implements implement the shape interface. Okay, so it is asking to override this method, implement this method. Okay, and here we can just type, print some message uh, that this is rectangle. Okay, this this is rectangle. Okay, rectangle. Similarly, we are going to create for square, and it also will implements shape. Okay, then implement the methods. Okay, system dot out dot print line, and this is square. Okay, now going to create and the two of classes like box, and that is also implement the same interface. Okay, and this is box. This is box. Correct. Now the third one, block, same, implements shape and implement the draw method here, print some message. This is block. Okay, so we created these four concrete classes and the interface, and all these concrete classes are implementing this interface. Okay, now up to this is correct. Okay, now what we need to do. Okay, so if you see here, so now we need to create these things, one abstract class and two factory class, the 2D factory and 3D factory, and both will extend, both will extend the abstract factory class. Okay, so let me create the abstract class, then these two factory class. So I'm going to create the abstract class. I'm giving the name of the class abstract factory. I'm giving that name only, and so it's a abstract class, so we have to use that abstract keyword here, and we are using taking one abstract method here, so we have to use abstract keyword. As it is a abstract class, we need to use the abstract keyword to make or define any method as a as an abstract. Okay, but for interface we don't require, because the interface by default the methods are abstract. Okay, that is clear. Then shape, we are getting get shape, and inside this we are taking some variable that is like a string shape type. Okay, so what type of shape we need, the what type of shape we need here, that's fine. Now we need to create the two factory classes. Okay, so I'm giving the name of these two factory classes. First one is the two dimensional. Okay, okay, two dimensional factory. Okay, and this basically extends the abstract factory, and we need to implement that method here. Okay, a method here, and it will return the object. So here, based on the shape type, we will return the object. Suppose if, so let me write, if shape type dot equal ignore case, and I'm giving, which is a rectangle, then it should return new rectangle. Okay, fine. Else if if okay, mm, dot equal ignore case, it is square, then it will return new square. Correct. And finally in else we are returning null, return null. Okay, return null. Fine. So okay, So here we are taking the parameter, the shape type, and based on this we are creating the objects. Now creating the another factory, that is the three dimensional factory. Correct. The same thing. What we need to do, we need to just extend abstract factory. We need to implement here, just take this code from here, not no, okay, let me write it the same thing here. Okay, if shape type dot equal ignore case, if it is box, then what will happen, it will return the object of box. Correct. And what will do, and if, okay, and else if dot equal ignore case, it is block, then it will return object of block. Fine. And in the else we are returning null. Correct. Okay, fine. After this, understood. Okay, now what we need to do, so here you can see we created this part. Now we need to create the factory provider and finally the client. Okay, so now I'm creating the factory provider, that is also one of the factory class, factory provider. Okay, that factory provider should have one factory method, and that should be a public and static method, so that to call this method we don't need to create the object of this factory provider, and it will return the object of the, the abstract factory object of this, the sub factory, the two-dimensional factory and three-dimensional factory, and both two-dimensional factory and three-dimensional factories are extending abstract factory. So the factory provider basically returning the object. This method will basically return the object of abstract factory class. So abstract factory get factory then here we can pass one value, that boolean factory type and except I'm giving 3D. Okay, so the if it is a factory type is 3D or not, we need to just pass the value true or false. If it is true, then we'll create the object based on this 3D, and if false, then we'll create the 2D objects. Okay, and inside that what we need to do, if is true, then it will, if it is true, no, sorry, control, okay, so if this is true, then what will happen, it will return new the three-dimensional factory object of this three-dimensional factory, else return the two-dimensional factory. Okay, now it's providing the factory, so that's why it's called factory provider. Now, right, now we need to create the client that basically send the request, what type of, what type of object is required. Okay, I'm taking the main method here. Okay, now see here, client required the object of the block box. Okay, block box. So finally the client, whatever we are doing internally, that is, forget about that right now. The client need, okay, the client need, the object of this, whatever we have, these concrete classes. We are doing a lot of operation there in, okay, inside, but clients finally required this object. Okay, the class of this object, the rectangle, square, box and block. Okay, so the type of the object, basically client required the shape. So shape of the type of the object should be shape, but the object is created for these classes, rectangle, square, box and block. So client finally required that. Okay, now see, so here we need to create the object of, you know all the concrete classes, and type of the object should be shape. Okay, so first what we need to do, the client first. Okay, client basically needs a 3D box. So first requirement is that client needs to client needs to send the information to the factory provider, and factory provider will send the information to the specific factory. So first we are calling here the factory provider. Okay, this is the factory provider where we are sending the information. Okay, we need a 3D object. 3D object we are passing through, and the object should be, what would be the shape? I am passing box. I am passing box. Got my point here? Okay, and basically this will return the object of shape. Correct? Okay. Now by using this object, you can call the draw. Okay. Now see, let me run this main, the client, and let's see what is printing here. Okay. So let me run the client. Okay, this is my client. So okay, so here you can see it's printing. This is box. Okay, it means the box, the object is getting created, because if you go to this box class, here we are, okay, printing this. So if you pass something like block, okay, and run this client code, then you can see, okay, so you can see here this is block. Okay, the block object is getting created. Okay, so I think you understood how the abstract design pattern is working. Okay, so that's it. Okay, in this video, if you have any question, please do comment. Okay, and see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.